Mike, Faraday Research, and Gerald, Wpgenlighten4truth2, joining us today.
Hello,
And good morning, my fellow Canadians, my fellow free energy Canadians. How do we do today? It's a good day. It's an APEC day. It's a free energy day.
An APEC day rocks.
Right? And it's a superconductive day, and that potentially this new, if we get this verification of room temperature superconductivity very simply produced, it opens the doors for all of the work and results that you lovely gentlemen have been getting, and that it could be everything is now that is inductive, that is endothermic, that is magnetic over unity, over efficiency and plasma. All of it is essentially potentially superconductivity.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Superconductivity is the, let's just say it's the next stage, if you know what I mean. And I think as Mike starts releasing more that I know he's got, because he's a very smart individual. So he's probably got some stuff kicking on the back burner like I do. I'm in the position where I'm going to start releasing it, and I'm showing everything. So I'm starting small, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I think, the superconductivity is definitely the next step, and it's just, a matter of time before, we crack that barrier, right? I think it's just a matter of material science and figuring it out. It's just, it's a matter of time. You know what? It's like anything else. The concept's there. It's been out there for well over 100 years. And material science has made a lot of progress, I would say, in the last 10 years, not alone 100. So, yeah, I think it's just, it's around the corner. And when we can achieve that, super efficiency systems are definitely possible. But
Gerald, 3D printing aspects, right? And that's something that you've also been working on, Mike. And that, like, as soon as these little tiny nano circuit sort of superconductive, like transistors and different capacitance things are able to be made, it's gonna, like, in 3D printed, essentially, it's gonna revolutionize the world. Right?
Well, I had some ideas about using 3D printing and mixing barium titanate in the PLA plastic and make printable piezoelectric transducers in any form you wish. So that would be interesting to actually see if anybody out there could actually pull that off. Because like piezo's, piezoelectric effect.
I like that, right? Because that can even then go into the geopolymer style building materials, and then 3D printed houses, and like
exactly
just get into
anything you make with a 3D printer can be piezoelectric. And apparently Tesla was working on, well, he was fascinated first most with quartz crystal, and he actually referred quartz crystal as a living entity. And I'm starting to dig some of that stuff up now. I never knew he was into the quartz and the piezoelectric effect. Apparently he did a lot of work behind closed doors with this stuff. So I've been doing a little bit of digging on what he was actually after and what he was trying to accomplish. But he did refer to quartz crystal as actually a living entity, like you or me.
I love that you say that. Sorry to cut you off, Gerald. I'll let you talk. Just the alchemy and the alchemists, they all state that the metals, the elements, the lower matter, and then the vegetables, the plants, and then the animals, that it's all living conscious matter, just in different states, and that these crystals are essentially live, and so are all matter and energy.
Yeah, even gold. A few people have stated along, my research that gold is actually a living entity as well. So, It's got to be some kind of connection.
It is written that, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So as everything collects, you know, it compacts, turns into different minerals, and who knows, like you said, maybe it is a form of life, so to speak, or a compressed piezoelectric crystal from a form of life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. That's what Tesla was working on. He knew this a long time ago. And apparently he was totally fascinated with the quartz crystal. So, yeah.
I haven't read a lot of his crystal work and notes, but I've heard whispers of him working on it, and that was like his passion that he didn't really bring out a lot of.
No, a lot of that stuff was hidden. And I think a lot of that was some of the notes that were taken after he passed away at the New Yorker hotel. I think a lot of those notes and references on quartz crystals was all confiscated.
Well, I bet you it was.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. If you follow back from Otis T. Carr, and he states that he had access to Nikola Tesla. I don't know, was student, I believe it was. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Carr, no, he worked at the New Yorker hotel as he used to clean the rooms and stuff. And then he bumped into Tesla, and they became good friends. And he started learning, you know, what he was up to. And, you know, he was a science student at that time, and that's how they got together. They met at the New Yorker hotel.
That's interesting, because isn't he involved with that story of the apparent UFO that they created that moved?
Oh yeah.
And they used their minds to move it, and it had a big crystal in the center of it, and very interesting story. See the connections now? Definitely.
Always connecting more and more dots. And I have a few dots actually to collect for. While I have both of you, actually, let us instead of playing the this excellent LK99 superconductor, we will play it here. But first, we'll play a bit of this amazing video just released and done by Jillian Rachel on electroculture, but she goes deep into the science here of the history of it. A couple points that I think both of you would appreciate more to hear.
Plants and people are sensitive to electricity and magnetism. Improved plant growth, quality, and increased yields are a few of the noticeable beneficial effects in plants. The technology can also be used to protect plants from pests and diseases. Electric and magnetic effects on people are very similar, as demonstrated by the dedicated work and research of Georges Lakhovsky with copper coil oscillators in the 1920s.
So Georges Lakhovsky. Have either of you heard of him before? Mike, you're muted, brother.
Yeah, I haven't really heard of him, no.
Okay, so
I have. He's actually go ahead.
Right, so I'm just going to let it play here because this next part is absolutely crucial in all of the work that we're doing and field interactions and another suppressed scientist.
Yeah, his work was directly connected to Tesla, so he's a very interesting person to follow.
Really? So you learn something new every day. And right here, his work with copper coil oscillators in the 1920s. So that would be Tesla right there.
You're talking about Otis Carr?
George Lakhovsky. Yeah, he had a healing device with copper coil oscillators. And
you know what? I've heard of him. The name does ring a bell. I don't really know. I know more about Otis Carr than I do him.
Yeah, there's a Tesla connection to George Lakhovsky. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't know if he worked with Tesla, but
these copper coils, they're almost like they're man, like those are very fascinating bifilar coils right there. They're like,
aren't there superconducting antennas that have been built on that very same configuration.
I believe so. All right, so here, this part right here is crucial. It's a little low in volume, but it's just great find by
Gerald.
Rachel.
Sorry to jump in. Gerald, did you get that link I sent you on Vinny St. Vincent?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was going to play
those. Thank you very much. I've watched that about 8 times, and I'm going to watch it probably another 8 more. So, yeah, I've seen it.
Wpgenlighten believed that each of our cells was a minute resonant circuit, and when these circuits were oscillating correctly, we or any living thing were considered healthy. When an outside source causes our cells to oscillate at a different rate, then disease sets in. In his book, The Secret of Life, originally published in French in 1925, Wpgenlighten wrote, "What is life? It is the dynamic equilibrium of all cells, the harmony of multiple radiations which react upon one another. What is disease? It is the oscillatory disequilibrium of cells originating from eternal causes. It is, more especially, the struggle between microbic radiation and cellular radiation." Wpgenlighten believed it was these radiations that kept our bodies oscillating correctly, but too much of distorted radiation would cause them to oscillate incorrectly. Setting out to prove his theories, Wpgenlighten felt that he could generate a practical application to enable the adversely affected cells to regain their full vitality by reinstating their proper oscillatory rate through a dielectric element such as copper. What Wpgenlighten discovered was truly amazing. He discovered that using copper coils protected our cells from various forms of disease through an ability to generate a healthy electromagnetic field for our cells to continue oscillating at their resonant frequency. Georges Wpgenlighten's research, where he demonstrated the comparison of a living cell with that of an electronic circuit of an antenna, inspired him to devise a theory of a living cell as an electronic circuit of high frequencies and electrical oscillations. This led him to publish his first book, The Secret of Life, originally published in French as Le Secret de la Vie, Paris, Gauthier Villars, in 1929. His focus turned then to the development of electromagnetic systems that can heal plants. Wpgenlighten coils are little antennas made of copper, oriented in a certain way with north at around 32 degrees, in alignment with the tilt of the Earth's rotation.
So I got to pause it right here in several major aspects of one, he turned his research to developing electroculture, to the north-south alignment of these copper coils, which is a key part to what I've been seeing on lots of people's actual electroculture results with the coils, that you have to wind them south. One if you're in the northern hemisphere, and north if you're in the southern hemisphere, and place them accordingly next to the plants, vice versa, depending on what hemisphere you're in, and that it correlates to this, but that she was stating his research on the biofields of the resonant it's the resonant frequency, and